Hello, everyone. Hello, Nataliia.
Hello.
How are you today?
Pretty busy.
Yeah,
Intensive Friday. Who could guess?
yeah. Do you have holidays, upcoming May holidays?
Yes, I do. It was kind of a bit unexpected. I got used to not having holidays for last months.
Oh, that's a pity. And basically, you are in Ukraine right now,
Yep.
or where? Okay.
Yes.
Finally, it's spring in your country.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So it's nice time to go somewhere probably and to enjoy warmth. Okay, so for now we are waiting for some other people to join us today. And we'll get started shortly. I see the people are joining us. Let's wait a bit more. It's Friday.
Yeah, by the way, have you noticed that usually all like production issues or some critical bugs, they appear like exactly on Friday before long weekends?
Well, not sure from my experience. I don't know. Maybe it's sometimes it happens. I think it's more, visible when something happens and you're about to leave for vacations, for holidays, and something happens and you think like, oh God, why it happens right now? Why not on Monday or Tuesday?
Or when I'm on vacation already.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Waiting a bit more. Okay, I think it's time to start. It's already 2 minutes past 5 in our time, right?
Yep.
So some people have already joined us. And once again, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And today we have a very interesting topic for our Friday webinar. It's QA and BA issues. So we will look at business analysis from QA standpoint from this different angle. And for me, it's really interesting to look at our main area, from QA standpoint. So Nataliia will share her vision as she was a manual QA and now she's a product manager. And I believe she will share lots of interesting information with us. So today we'll have, as usually, a presentation, and in the end we'll have a Q&A session. And also we have a small competition. So Nataliia will select the best questions from her opinion, and we will send a badge for such participants. So please stay active and stay tuned. And Nataliia, so the floor is yours, please.
Okay. Yeah. So hello everyone. Today's talk, let's call it like this, is named QA in BA shows, and I think it's kind of 6-act play in terms of Babok knowledge areas. Yep. So what we're going to talk about, we will start with setting the scene. I will say a couple of words about myself, and then we will go through business analysis areas of knowledge, starting from planning and monitoring and up to solution evaluation. So, couple of words about me. My name is Nataliia, and I've been with EPAM for more than 8 years, I think, at the moment, and started from manual QA intern within RD Lab and to product manager title currently. So logical question arises, where is the business analysis here? And this is what I would like to talk about. Sometimes you only understand that you're actually doing something when someone points it out. The same was with me. When I was undergoing BA mentorship program and my mentor, beautiful Mariana Kuchtin, kept saying to all oh my God, I will never get this concept, with no worries, honey, you have been doing that for the last couple of years already. So historically, it happened so that there have been no business analyst role on our project. Product owners from customer side were quite busy and not always had time for requirements work. And well, it is what it is. And if we wanted the project to move forward, these responsibilities fell on QA specialists. So, who do I think this session will be useful? Since the overall topic of the season is cross-functionality, I would like to show how cross-functionality can be evolved when quality assurance and business analysis meet together. As a canvas for the talk, I decided to use the business analysis areas of knowledge as defined by Babok, the sacred book of every BA, and show how QA can participate in each of the knowledge areas based on my own example. We will go one by one, starting with planning and monitoring and to solution evaluation. And a little disclaimer, I in no way pretend to know Babok at a deep level as most of you do. My further growth quickly went to the path of product management, but I remember how I was impressed when I understood how knowledge areas and tasks map to what I was actually doing while being a QA, and I wanted to share my experience. So what a QA can do with business analysis, planning and monitoring area, especially in an ongoing project where little can be done up front and from scratch, but there is always place for improvement. So let's start with planning business analysis approach. At this point, we decide between predictive and adaptive approach. In our case, we use adaptive, and that varies in the level of formality. And for like more than 8 years that I work on this project, the level of formality changed from several times, and was very much dependent on multiple factors, and as well on skills and experience of both product owner and QA in the team, as well as release cadence. For a less experienced QA, the requirements should have been written in a very detailed manner. And in case product owner was not very familiar with all our dependencies, that resulted in failures with delivery. So that's why we started to combine the teams in a way so that if we have a fresh product owner from customer side, they are supported by strong QA from our side. And it's an interesting thing exactly to look from a retrospective side, how on one and the same project, the approach to business analysis activities was different depending on multiple factors in different times, like focus on agility or flashbacks of command and control style, release cadence, whether it was a new feature or a support of existing, or some migration, for example. Well, next task is planning stakeholder engagement. Ideally, the only source of truth in Scrum team should be the product owner. However, with multiple teams working on same project, it made sense for me to create a Reis matrix of who to run in case of something isn't clear, or there is a blocker, for example. Of course, you hardly will be able to reach from that position to all the stakeholders, including C positions. But even at your level, this exercise helps a lot. For example, to know who to ping when there is a blocker for release. For me personally, the possibility to reach out to right people with right question was very often the guarantee that the project will move forward. Next goes planning, business analysis, governance. Since we are using adaptive approach to development, this reflects in the way the governance is performed. And it were QAs on our project who initiated the discussion and agreed upon the level of formality and details of business analysis deliverables. In our case, like on our level, Apex user stories, mockups. And this was all included into definition of ready and definition of done. Speaking about business analysis information management, from QA perspective, traceability matrix is a very useful tool that helps to ensure that each requirement is covered by testing scenarios. In the absence of business analysts, their responsibility to make sure each and every story can be traced to corresponding epic and then initiative can be covered by QA, and actually that was in our case. Moving further, hard to say about BA performance improvements since we discussed the case when there is no official dedicated BA role on the project. But if there is, testers can give valuable feedback regarding requirements quality since testing the requirements is one of the main key activities throughout the life cycle. Let's move further, elicitation and collaboration. So here the possibilities are endless, I believe, especially when we talk about ongoing legacy project where half of the requirements are gone with the people who implemented them and the other half has changed since that time to like unrecognizable level. Here QA can use almost all techniques. For prepare for elicitation steps, QA can contribute to the list of stakeholders, especially in the area of technical subject matter expert. Moreover, they themselves can become technical subject matter experts in some cases. Then goes brainstorming, data mining, data model interface analysis. All these QA can actively participate either as a helping hand for business analysts or as a single entity in scope of requirements testing activities. Then, like if we continue talking about elicitation, the most important effective meeting for that on our project was refinement session. And also there was 3 amigos meetings where QA, dev and product owner prepared for refinement and discussed some unsolved questions at the level when we don't yet have all the details, but we can ask the right questions to get them. Limitation here that QA rarely has access to end users and C-level stakeholders, but the benefits are that the knowledge of existing application and close relationships with implementation subject matter experts allow to predict most of the inconsistencies and raise risks and prevent possible conflicting requirements at very early stage. Contribution to confirming elicitation results can be done in the scope of reviews and document analysis. A useful source of documentation for analysis can be existing test cases, and what takes it to even higher level if the test cases are in the form of BDD scenarios and an automated living documentation. Speaking about stakeholder collaboration part, usually QAs are exposed to developers, product owners, and business analysts, of course, if they exist on the project. And I think here BAs can take a step forward and expose QA to some other stakeholders like customer care specialists, support, maybe account managers. It may be beneficial from a couple of perspectives. First, to get early feedback suggestion from the testing point of view and get help in further requirements management. And since QA will know the background of this or that decision and why exactly it was made and what it is supposed to mean for end users, they can be more effective in requirements testing and further test cases creation. And also it can be your own backup in case you're off and someone needs some quick question to be answered. So on my project, since there were no BA role at all, testers were the people who usually go to customer care, other teams, product owners, to cross-project management if they needed to clarify something. In my personal case, it went that far that they appeared to be a team not only without business analyst, but without product owner as such. And as I naturally continued doing what I was used to, and finally, after 2 years, the customer noticed like, oops, looks like we have a new product owner. Well, that's actually a completely separate story, but I just wanted to show where such involvement can lead to in terms of like career path. Yeah. In requirements lifecycle management, QAs are usually involved in tracing and maintaining solution requirements. Requirements changes become less cumbersome to manage if there is a well-designed set of test cases, ideally automation suite, that can momentarily show what other requirements will be affected. Input from testers regarding possible impact and efforts can play also an important role in prioritization of requirements if using value-effort approach. Well, from first sight, there doesn't seem anything that can be connected with QS activities if we speak about strategy analysis. However, since business analysis approach can be applied to almost every sphere, I think that still can be easily mapped to QA activities. So imagine you have to set up QA process from scratch on some new project. What will you do? Of course, you will analyze current state, define future state, assess risks, and then define test strategy. Bingo. That's actually amazing from my point of view how Babok can provide guidance irrespective on where you need to apply the change. And on a separate note, risks analysis is the part of each and every test plan and test strategy. We used to do risk-based testing, regression testing, when in order to maximize value with limited resources, we first identified a list of items that were to be released. Then we gathered impact analysis, correlate that with the weight of the area under test, like is it a user critical workflow? Is it highly used? Are there any traced requirements that are also impacted, and what is their role for the end user? What are our available resources? And based on that, what should we test first, and what can we skip at all? Yeah, and here like hello prioritization techniques. Then what are the risks of this decision, and how we will address those risks if in case the event happened. If looking for techniques for specifying model requirements tasks, I think it's easier to say what is not highly used by QA. Probably business capability analysis and business model canvas will not be something of typical QA activities, but who knows. But almost all the rest, especially functional decomposition, use cases and scenarios, user stories, data and decision modeling, root cause analysis, all these and many others are actively being practiced by QA. Validation and verification are first words as QA learn even before entering RD Lab on external courses. And characteristics of good requirements are the must-know of each and every student. Of course, without direct access to business stakeholders, it might be difficult to be 100% sure that we are building the right thing, something that will bring value to our users. But the practice of questioning almost everything, the need to exercise the application from end user perspective, and the focus of the why we're actually doing this, can have substantial input to validation efforts. Defining design options and analyzing potential value. I cannot say to what extent this is the regular practice, but let me share my experience here. At times when we were more agile than now, input from our product owner usually sounded like a problem statement. And me with our automation QA spent like literally hours near office board drawing decision tables, flow diagrams, use cases. Then we got this results and went to our developers. Then we got input from developers, often reworked everything as a result, and in the end we were returning to our product owner with proposed several solutions, pros and cons for each option, including risks, value, effort, and concerns if any. I'm not trying to say that this is how it should be, yeah, must be in all cases, but such attitude and approach helped to maintain trustful relations with customer and gained their appreciation. And later, when suddenly it turned out that I'm in a team with no product owner, nothing really changed from me. I just continued doing the same things that I used to do. And the only awkward moment for me was that right now I was that person that was solemnly responsible for the outcome. Yeah. Approaching solution evaluation, from QA perspective, we come to the question of whether what we deployed is performing in a way it should, and what if not, and why. Performance can be measured from functional and non-functional perspective. So given we have non-functional requirements from the start, which is unfortunately not always the case. Well, there are, of course, tons of metrics that can help in getting confidence in what goes live. And it's good if we have established benchmarks beforehand, so that we can measure the actual performance of new feature developed and what impact it could have on some existing functionality. Yeah. So, and in case of such impact, then we use root cause analysis and debugging, along with identifying solution components, dependencies as main techniques to actually figure out the reason and try to improve what we have. Yeah. What I see as limitations here, again, since we rarely have access to business stakeholders, it's a bit hard to get qualitative feedback from stakeholders and end users, like via interviews or focus groups or things like this. So, and ask from a QA side, sharing that feedback with the team and involving QA at least in a listen-only mode to feedback sessions with stakeholders can bring a lot of light to further development, both in terms of whether what we built behaved in a correct way, and in terms of whether what we did actually what was needed by users. Yeah. So here we went through Babok knowledge areas and tasks, and I showed how I practiced them while being on a manual QA position on a project with no dedicated business analyst. Now, in the end of the presentation, my main message probably will be the following. So since cross-functionality is inevitable, then close collaboration of business analysts and QA can make both for projects and people's careers move faster. And it's worth considering whenever possible, and of course, if all parties have the desire, to expose QA more to the stakeholders within business analysis activities and involve them as early in the game as possible. And one more not so straightforward takeaway, but that can save you a couple of months or maybe even years of uncertainty. If you are in doubt whether you are ready for a level up or for a more challenging role, try to map everything you are doing to some formal structure of an industry standard. And it might turn out that you've been doing it for quite a long time already. And a good mentor for sure will be able to open up your potential. So do not hesitate to ask. So probably that's it for today. I hope it was somewhat interesting and probably useful, and happy to answer your questions whenever I can.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Nataliia. It was really interesting to see from the different angle how it is to be a BA for a QA, probably, yeah, and the advices you've shared. So before we start our Q&A session, just would like to mention that if you like Natalia's presentation, you can rate our webinar today. I will send the link to the chat. So, and you can say thank you to Nataliia or even me if you like to. And yeah, so far, Okay. Yeah. So far I don't see any questions, but probably I have a question from my side. So Nataliia, how do you think, what skills does a QA possess that help to conduct a business analysis? And the second part of this question is, what would you recommend for a business analyst to develop? I mean, from the standpoint of skills, maybe something specific for QAs.
Let's think. So if we're talking about like soft skills, then definitely the attention for details, which is a must-have for every QA specialist. I think this is what helps a lot. And so since we indeed have to be very, very attentive to each and every detail, that means that we can be something like double checker for requirements and be that second view, second point of view that can look through requirements and find any kind of inconsistencies which you don't see while you are creating it. You know, it's like we have the practice of, as much as developers, yeah, we have the practice of peer reviews, yeah, when we review each other's test cases. And I think that in this case, we can be some kind of reviewer, yeah, for business analyst deliverables that are directly related to team's work and to solutions development. Speaking about hard skills, what can I recommend? Well, you know, I'm a big advocate of BDD approach, and I think that having some practice with creating requirements in the form of BDD scenarios, for me, it was like very mind structuring activity when I in fact try to so when I write a requirement like in the form of given when then, and for example at some step I see when I, like, let's say, do some action and I understand then what, so I don't have the outcome. This outcome was not something that I thought about when we were, for example, a refinement session, or when we were finalizing like our acceptance criteria. So this definitely help a lot. And just out of curiosity, even if you don't plan to be in any case involved on some QA activities, try this approach, try this technique. It's fun, and if that works out, that can be really very supportive for your BA activities. So if it's implemented in terms of it's automated, and then you have this automated living documentation, it's really cool.
Okay, thank you very much, Nataliia. We have another question. Do you have suggestions of software to manage QA tests?
I think that first of all, EPAM has very, very big library of the tools to use. What we use is limited by the what is approved by customer, and we use Jira and its add-on named Zephyr for test cases management. But our QA practice has a lot of already like exercised and proved tools, and if you reach out to them, to our QA competency center, with the question what will be the most appropriate for your project and for your team setup and for what are the tasks, so is it like a UI application, or is it some data related thing, or is it just pure APIs? So for all of this, I think our QA competency can suggest the best possible option.
Okay, got you. Thank you. We have another question from Daniel. Do you have a systematic approach to guarantee that requirements deliver maximum value while effectively addressing the needs of stakeholders and aligning with the organization's strategic objectives? If so, could you describe it? Nataliia, if it's suitable for you, you can just check the Q&A session in the tab on your screen, or I can just repeat myself if you'd like to.
Okay, I'll stop presenting. Let me try to find this. The moment.
Yeah.
Yep, I
Sure.
see.
So this is the last one, Daniel.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, I would. So let me answer. I would love to have the systematic approach. Unfortunately, at the moment on our project, I think we don't really have it even on the level of senior management from customer side. So what we can do at more granular level, at the level of let's say teams and project, yep, we can align. So basically, I can name it. What we do is like trying to do the maximum with the minimum available resources, because this is the reality that we live it right now.
Cool. Thank you.
So yeah, Daniel, if you can share your vision of how to build this strategic approach, I would be really happy to get that knowledge.
Yeah, I think you can take it offline with Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Thank you very much, Natalia. So for now, I don't see any questions for the moment. Natalia, are you able to choose the best one? Since we don't have many of them, it's probably not so hard to choose.
Yeah, I think Daniel will be the winner here.
Okay. Okay, great. So thank you very much for your presentation, Natalia, for sharing your experience. It's also always so helpful. Thank you for answering the questions, and thank you for those who joined us today and was active in questions. So see you next time, and have a good weekend and holidays for those who have them.
Yeah, thank you so much for your attention.
Thanks.